speaking.
Good evening, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okun. Thank you very much for attending. Let us look at money in the United Kingdom given to people who needed this series in a series in the videos I have recorded to illustrate what happens in terms of policy and also practices involving money given to people who need it as a way of policy, a social policy. So let us get straight into it. When you need this money, you have to fill out a form. It's a form acronym as SSC1 form, which form you can get more information online gov.uk, and the form asks for your name and contact personal details. For example, this is the process of claiming this support. National insurance number. If you live in the United Kingdom, you know national insurance number is form of taxation. You are recorded with a number for your taxing, which is a form of insurance for different reasons. So you also give a reason for appealing. So it is important to be specific when you explain why you are appealing. List the reason in your decision letter and mandatory consideration notice and why you disagree. When the Department of Work and Pension, which is a government department, giving this support to the British people, if they make decisions of one sort or another, you are unhappy with, you are allowed by law to challenge this decision. It's called mandatory consideration, which is a decision, is a process requesting the Department of Work and Pension to look at your decision again of whatever you have been asking. Is a process, is mandatory, means it's of right. They are supposed to look at it and you provide reason for the same. And then when that fails, we have discussed this in the previous video. If you watch this, watch the rest of the video. And thank you so much for you are watching the video and sharing with family and friends, and also being part of support in different ways, clicking like and notification bell and subscribing to this channel. Also subscribe if you're new, if you're only coming today, and we have been around, and thank you very much. So let us continue with this. Stay tuned, continue watching. Thank you so much. So normally this information is actually policy, which I invite people who live in the United Kingdom to pay close attention to. They are sounding repetitive if you have been watching my material, but this is a YouTube, and some of these material are repeatable in terms of information. What happened in the United Kingdom happens across the globe, so pay attention. And also, if you are in a country like Africa, you can use this information or something else to engage with your leaders to find out why they might not be giving the similar help in Africa, especially in Africa or South America or parts of Asia, and also in Europe. I doubt if this kind of support is not given in Europe, in America, and also maybe part of Asia. But if in your country you don't get this kind of help, because there's a lot of wealth in the world, government help in terms of benefit, it helps also in terms of employment, because the primary source of income is employment. If you work for somebody else, or if you are self-employed, and we mentioned this previously for this exercise to make sense, because a lot of things are changing from what we have now. Technology is also changing. There is a future in the world where we may end up in a situation without work. A machine will have taken over work in the future, beginning now. If you are finding it difficult to access employment, then you may explain it in one way or the other. But the primacy is things are changing very rapidly. more and more technical people are needed more than people who are not technical. You need to go to university. You need to be a specialist. These are the kind of work now available. They are called technocrats in modern terms. So these kind of policy and practices is a necessary a factor which is designed to deal with the extremity with capitalism is. Capitalism is a type of economic system which is global. If you live in Africa and elsewhere in the rest of the continent, there is only one system of economy which now is functioning, which is capitalism. I've mentioned this many times, and because I want people to really understand, and also you're supposed to take responsibility for yourself, because the government is taking responsibility for yourself, because for you, because it's running the countries. Now these things are changing very rapidly. People are encouraged to be independent of the government, independent of their parents, independent of communities, of societies. But I say we need each other sometimes when we are in a crisis. And we saw it with different types of crises, when there are war, when somebody dies, when bad things happen to people, but also when good things happen, you want to rejoice with one another. We are a social animal as a species, as human, and we may need our spaces, we may need our freedom, but these are philosophical discussions. And leave a comment below what you think about this program. And let's get back to looking at the specific. I'll just try to put context into whatever I'm trying to talk about, because money is important in the modern society. In the past, especially in Africa, people didn't worry very much about money, but money now is everything, even in Africa, but especially in the developed world. Without money, life will be impossible. So let us continue going through this material, the purpose of going through this material, so that people understand the way public policy operates in terms of social policy. Because this is important. You can talk to your member of parliament if you understand this kind of thing. If you don't find your joy in this material, you can go to gov.uk in the UK, and that's a government website. It's a standard government website, I think, because of globalization, and also in Africa. If you ask somebody, there is going to be something to do with gov dot something. If you're in your, check it out in your country. In the United Kingdom, it's gov.uk. So it's very common nowadays, because it makes running the world easier because of globalization. So pay attention to that. You have to be really also very good with internet, because everything is now online, including actually getting this money. This money is part of the broader social policy in the United Kingdom, but also similar to what happened in the globe. If you have public hospital as opposed to private, public school as opposed to private are businesses providing goods and services. These may be things necessary for your survival, like medicine or hospital support or dentistry or even housing. They are still private providers, but you need to have money to access the private sector. That's the logic behind welfare support, which is part of the public service. Public sector is there to support people who may not be millionaires and multi-billionaires. A lot of wealth in the world, within every continent, there are people who are getting richer and richer in the majoritarian sense of the word. But there are also these sections of society which are the majority. I mean, the richer ones are actually getting in the minority sense of the word. They're the minority. The majority are actually the ones who are now getting less and less support. So government have come with an initiative in Europe and also in America, in the developed world, but also in Africa. If you go to a government hospital, government school, in certain countries, they are referred to as seed programs, a seed project. That is the idea broadly. So it's supposed to be provided everywhere, but because of political reason, because of ideological reason, there is a lot of problem. Also, I consider there to be a lot of misunderstanding among the ruling class. I think there is a lot of violence and also confusion. There is too much politics going on in, say, in the United Kingdom, but also across the globe. And leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And this is fairly complex material, but life is complex enough. And if you have time, then pay attention to it, because one way or the other, you have to really deal with your life, and especially when the government withdraw help from, say, in the UK or even in Africa. You can't get any support from the government, and yet the government is taxing you or taking away your land. You can't access food or medicine, because if you don't have land, you don't have even housing, you don't have any livelihood. And this is something I've been talking about. We need to really pay attention to. Going back, look at this support, financial support in the United Kingdom is called universal credit, and there are other elements of this help, but the main one is universal credit. That's how we call it in the United Kingdom. Maybe similar to your country. Let us look at these specifics. And so it is important to be specific when you explain why you are appealing, because an appeal is when you are not happy with the decision made, and then you have the right of appeal. This is with the tribunal. This is a continuation of the rest of the video. And if you watch this, watch with the rest of the video, or visit gov.uk. So list the reason in your decision letter and the mandatory reconsideration notice. Mandatory reconsideration is the name of a terminology for asking the Department of Work and Pension, which is the government department responsible for giving this money, asking the Department of Work and Pension to look at the decision again, because you're not happy with it, you disagree with the information, with their decision. So it's called mandatory consideration. When you're appealing, take a letter and the mandatory consideration notice. They give you a notice on mandatory consideration. So you take that to the tribunal, which is a type of court in the United Kingdom. And the process can be explained, but I'm just talking about it generally now. So you should also refer to any evidence you have sent with the mandatory consideration. When you claim benefit, the Department of Work and Pension, benefit is actually money. If you or something else, but in this case I'm talking about money. Universal credit is money, is benefit in the UK. When you're claiming it, you have to take evidence. I've mentioned this in the other videos, but this is a continuation. So if you've got advice from, say, a local citizen advice or another organization, you should also write this on your form, because I also mentioned these other advisory bodies. So if you watch this video, watch the rest of the video, and also you can visit the government website. So the Department of Work and Pension should pass on any evidence you have given them to HMCTS. This is the courts of the government. You don't need to send it again with your appeal form or letter. These are some of the procedures, information regarding these processes. And sometimes it's a matter of life and death, because when you need help desperately, you have to really do more to get it, because it's getting harder and harder, because the system is changing in the United Kingdom and across the globe, because of privatization. The public sector is shutting down, and when it shuts down in terms of the global agenda, or also national agenda in terms of sovereignty, when it shuts down, then it's going to shut down with all the help intended to be given to people of the world. So pay attention to this in one way or the other, and you don't have to worry about anything, but you have to pay attention to what is happening around the world. So let's look at how you submit evidence. So if you submit evidence late, then there are situations you face. The HMCTS will send you your will send you an appeal bundles, including all the evidence you have received. It is important to check this. If anything is missing, send it to the HMCTS. This is a court or a tribunal service. His Majesty Court and Courts and Tribunal Service. That is what it stands for. It's an acronym. So explaining that the Department of Work and Pension has failed to send it. So these are some of the detail, the nitty-gritty, which I decided to go through in the process, explaining the broader issue, which might be or might not be of interest. Leave a comment below and let me know. Stay tuned and continue watching. Thank you so much. So you can send evidence up to HMCTS up to 1 month after you after you get the appeal bundle. If you miss the deadline, you should explain why you are sending the evidence late on behalf of somebody else, or you're sending it for yourself. And so if you take new evidence with you to the tribunal, it might be rescheduled to give the judge time to read the new evidence. So let us look at, stay tuned, continue watching. Let us look at how to send the appeal form, because you fill out a form and there's a type of bureaucracy which involve actually this money, and I've been making several claims in the opening with other with the other videos. So what I'm trying to do now is to try and go through some of these details to show how complicated the system is, and also why it is important for you, because it's government policy you have to comply with. Everybody has to comply with the government policy, because if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So the best way is surviving is this is a survival strategy for everyone, and for young people, adults, and pensioners, because this support is so broad in a country like the UK, or increasingly maybe also in Africa, things like pension. And this is also, the type of money I'm talking about. I'm just talking about one aspect of the money, but it includes pension, also child benefit, it include different, maternity pay, if you are pregnant, if you're sick, sickness pay, and if somebody dies, bereavement payments. All these help are there, but this, I want to talk about one aspect of it. But if you learn about universal credit, then you learn about the rest of the system. And if you learn one aspect of policy, because the knowledge are transferable, the skills are transferable. So I am hoping that people produce a picture, but also I will stop from time to time to give my opinion about why certain things are happening in certain ways. So if you comment below, let me know what you think. So sending the form, if you are appealing by post, you will need to sign your completed form and send it to the HMCTS. You will also need to send your mandatory reconsideration notice along with any evidence you are using. So there are addresses on gov.uk to see HMCTS appeal centers, which are actually addressed online, access online information to get it. Ask the post office for proof of postage. You might need to show when you shared your mandatory consideration notice. You can also send it by Royal Mail signed for, and keep the receipt, but you will need to pay for this. And HMCTS will check the form and ask the Department of Work and Pension for their response to your appeal within 28 days. Once the Department of Work and Pension responds, the HMCTS will send you a copy of the Department of Work and Pension response, details of what happens next, details of when and where the hearing will be. So you talk about appeal processes, you talk about how to get the help, and if you're not happy, sometimes maybe you are not given the support, and that is what not being happy is. And this is what you have to go through to get the money from the government. I have already said that this is not necessary, because this is help which is given to people as of necessity. This complexity is a message to the British people that the government has closed down its doors to helping ordinary people like you and I. So there is an opportunity for you to engage with your local leaders to try to put pressure on the government to change its policy to allow the support to come to people. And I have said in the other video, and I'm repeating that information here, that the primary objective of have financial support from the government and also employment in the UK should be to get the British people out of poverty. It is either the British people being out of poverty or not. If you think, if you're a British citizen or a resident, there's a difference between citizen and resident. Resident can be an immigrant, normally an immigrant, somebody who is not a citizen, living, allowed by law to live in the United Kingdom is a resident. And we can talk about that when we talk about immigration, but not for now. We'll talk about this. Now, it is so important for people to be engaged because you see, there is a lot of wealth in the UK. There's a lot of wealth around the world, and policy of help in terms of money or help in kind, especially money, I would emphasize money, should be given to people of the Britain and also around the world, because there is wealth in Britain and around the world, and this wealth should be given from the government treasuries or taken from the rich. Rich people should voluntarily give their part of their wealth to the government periodically and distribute this wealth to people who are in poverty. If you think you are not in poverty, leave a comment below, but that doesn't mean you are not in poverty. If you are a multimillionaire or a multi-billionaire because of the economic and financial dynamics, if you are not a millionaire, you are in poverty. You're living in poverty. And you may not be in need of help now, but potentially you would be in need. So this policy has to apply even for people who are well off, who maybe you are earning 4 to 5, 600,000, and a lot of people don't earn that. And even if you earn that, you can't. If you cannot buy a property outright, then you are automatically poor. You may not realize it, and I have said a lot of people don't realize they are poor in this country and the other countries because also their outlook of poverty is so different. They think you have to be in Africa to be poor, not even accessing food. But a lot of children are now feeding on junk food and healthy food, and all these are types of poverty. So, and leave a comment below what you think about poverty. If you live in the developed world, if you live in the developing world, developed world are mainly in Europe, America, and Asia, as in terms of continent, but more and more wealthy people are in Africa. So let's get back to this. And so let's look at the appeal process. You can find out more about what happens once you submit your appeal. So you can track your appeal and figure out. These are fine details about the process, and there's a lot of it. And these are what the government has written for people like you and I, ordinary people. The experts can also use it. But just try to illustrate how complicated these policies are. So if you appeal a universal credit decision online, you'll be asked if you want to join the track your appeal service. These will send you regular email updates and reminders about your appeal. You will also get a login so you can check the progress of your appeal at any time. If you have appealed by post, you can contact HM Courts and Tribunal Services, His Majesty Courts and Tribunal Services, and ask them to send updates and reminders by text. His Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services have telephone numbers. They are open Monday to Friday and 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And there are email addresses. If you contact the internet, gov.uk, you will be able to access this information. You could also access a public site of citizen advice or shelter or any of those organizations. Leave a comment below if you live in the United Kingdom. If you live outside the United Kingdom, leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Continue watching. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for your support. Subscribe to this channel and share with family and friends the videos, and click like, click notification bell. Thank you so much. So let us get back into what we're talking about here, the process, the nitty-gritty of the process. And calls usually cost up to 40 minutes per 40 pence per minute from mobiles, and up to 10 pence a minute from landline. And these are additional costs. And leave a comment below if you think this is a good policy, because people who do not have money are asked actually to pay. See, the problem with benefit in the United Kingdom is the level is too low. The level perpetually keep the British people in abject poverty. Being on benefit and being on the minimum wage is a curse in Britain, and it's a curse increasingly across the globe. And this should change, because there is a lot of wealth, and it is a government negligence across the globe. And these people, only people who are affected, the cost of living crisis has exposed the government around the world, and also the people have come to terms with the idea that, whereas you may not realize that, because people try to live in hope, hoping the government is going to change for the better. But I say, let us be very careful, because the government may be changing for the worse for a certain cut, for the majority of the people, but maybe changing for the better for the few in terms of wealth. But in terms of culture and society, if we do wrong thing to keep the majority of the population in poverty, we are creating violence. That society, we are going to all go extinct, because you see, there is going to be no peace for the wicked. I have mentioned this before. I continue to mention it. Thank you so much. I continue watching. So let us look at the material. So landlines, check with your supplier if you are not sure, because you can incur a lot of cost expenses. Your phone can be actually cut, because these are all expenses which I have been mentioning them throughout the videos. If you cannot watch the video, access the internet and read and read and read. Be an expert on these policies, because they affect the way you live. If you don't want to call or email, you can talk about your appeal online with a friend, with a trained helper on the His Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services website. That is a chat service. You chat online on these links. Again, visit gov.uk for this type of information. Thank you so much. So if you're going to appeal hearing, it is a good idea to find out what to expect at the hearing on gov.uk. It is always best to go to the hearing if you can. It's a chance of you to make your case and answer any questions the judge asks God for you. So you can explain, you can claim back expenses to cover the cost of traveling to the hearing, or to cover pay you might miss out on. I say, if you are on benefit or out of it, you should have enough money to to pay for whatever you need, without even worrying about claiming it back, because the level of benefit should be raised up, and the process of claiming it should be simplified. You don't need to go to court to get benefit in the United Kingdom. This is a shame, and the British people are not aware of this. The people of the world are not aware of it, and the situation is getting worse, because you see, people are now being asked to go to court because the professionals are shutting down. The government is not funding the public service, and I have been saying this over and again. Let us continue with this process. So you can claim back expenses. You can take someone else to hear to the hearing with you. For example, a solicitor, you can find a solicitor on the Law Society website. But these, I would bet on the fact that you have to pay. So you're also looking at the local advice agency. You can speak to your nearest citizen advice if they can go with you or with you and with your friend or a family member. The point about a citizen advice, they are out of resources in terms of government not really supporting them financially adequately to help anyone more or less. I mean, they try their best to help, but normally they struggle because they used to do support people going to court, but now the service is far in between, and there is a partnership with different types of lawyers or legal practices, but these need funding from the government because most of them are private companies. Organizations like Citizen Advice is non-statutory, which means it's a voluntary organization, is like a charity or a charitable organization. It is registered in the United Kingdom with the Company House. So it's like a third sector non-profit organization, but it's non-statutory. It depends on funding. If it is not funding is not there, everything pale into insignificant. That's why I'm encouraging everybody listening to this or doing something else to consider mobilizing friends, family, and members of the community to talk about this, to do a study. You have to mobilize and do a study group and be an expert on government policy so that when these don't provide what they promise during elections, election is around the corner at the moment in the United Kingdom. If they promise something and they don't deliver, you know what to say when you visit your member of parliament office. And I also suggest to the government, if they want to help to promote democracy in the United Kingdom, they should start funding local member of parliament offices with maybe 20 to 30 member of staff in one local member of parliament office to connect with the community groups or individuals to understand, get a an accurate information about the situation in the within the local authorities. People should give them primary data so that MPs are informed, other than listening to experts who are multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. If not, then they are probably spending 90% of their life in libraries, maybe in buying computer. They are academics, they are researchers. They don't speak to people directly. The people of Britain should be telling the government how much money they should be paid in benefits or in employment, as in minimum wage or living wage. The government should not tell the British people what to be paid or how to be paid. This is a democracy, and it has to be active. Let's get back to this material and resisting the temptation to make commentaries. And thank you very much for your support. You can therefore ask for the hearing to open without you on the appeal form. In other words, you don't have to go to the court for this purpose, and you won't be able to argue your case or answer questions the judge might have, so you will be less likely to succeed. So the advice here is, if you are in a situation where you have a case in the court, it's best if you go, because it will increase your chances of winning. So you also have to be an expert in legal procedures. You're on your own more and more, but if you're lucky to get whatever help, get it. It's not easy. I've been saying this, and leave a comment below if you think it is easy. If you think it is not, let me also know. If you're in the UK or out of it, let me know your thoughts and what is happening in your country. If similar to what is happening in the UK, let me know. So let us say look at getting a decision. So you will usually get an answer on the day of the hearing. If the judge needs longer to decide, or if you are not at the hearing, you will get the tribunal's decision through the post. These are some of the reality taking place on the ground. So if they don't agree to your appeal, you will have to apply to another tribunal. This is called the upper tribunal. So this is the hierarchy of the legal system in the United Kingdom. You have to go through the ladder and going up. If you fail from the lower, you go to the upper. But these are easy said than done, because the court system is extremely complex and very stressful, and you only live once. So if you face in a situation like this, get as much help as you can from the professionals. If you cannot do your own research, I say you are better to prepare for the worst. If I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is the truth, because all this complication is directly or indirectly associated with government policy of closing down the public sector. They make it impossible for people to access help by writing complicated policy. Complicated policy written should be actually handled by professionals. Professionals will be or more or less they've gone missing because of funding. Everywhere you go, there is crisis of funding. These organizations are there waiting to help, whether they are healthcare, whether they are social care, social services, whether they are professional legal services. They are there waiting to help the people of Britain, but the government has failed to finance this organization. So a complex system like this is a monstrous incident to the British people trying to get help. As simple helps such as to get money, or to get the medicine from the hospital, to see a dentist. And a lot of these people, a lot of these organizations providing public services are now private companies. Private companies are there to make business profit, and the government should give them money and to spend on the frontline service, which is now lacking. Every time the British government tells you they are funding public sector, they are, but the money goes toward capital and infrastructure. It doesn't go into frontline service. That's why if you go to your GP, you have to wait for so long. If you go to your dentist, you have to wait for so long. And as I speak, they are only taking in to people who are registering privately. If you are wanting the public equivalent of the, because you see, there are private companies, but there are two types of services. One is public, another one is private. The private services are the real services. The public are actually dummy, because there are a lot of services. They are like you're living in two different worlds. You go to an organization, you go to a dentist, you are asked specifically whether you are from the government. If you're from the government, there is no service for you. You have to go back home and call an emergency for dental care. But in the main hospital, in the main clinic, family clinic, you phone them. They don't book an appointment. You don't see the doctor. And this is a state of affair now happening, because they don't have the money. They are full up. They will tell you there is no doctor's appointment. They are not going to say anything else. But if you cannot see the doctor, you cannot get medication, because most prescription medicine, including if you are suffering from asthma, you need to be almost dying to get medical attention. And if you are almost dying, you are already dead, because in the hospital there is not adequate care. Sick people are being brought home to die because there are no beds. There are no ambulance service. You have to take taxis. This is what is happening in the United Kingdom, and it is happening globally. What happened in the UK is happening in the globe. If you go to Africa in the hospital, you take something called in Africa called border. If you have malaria, there is something called border. It doesn't matter how sick you are, nobody cares. But because that is a global situation, because the government is leaving The government is shutting down. The wealth is being transferred to private individuals, and public. You see, there is a shutting down of the country. If this doesn't stop, we are going to see such calamity as never before. We now focus on war. War is a distraction. The real issue, the real warfare is economic, is financial, is legal, is because the law is supposed to protect your right. You can no longer access the legal service if you don't have money. You are excluded, and this is getting worse and worse. It is, as I speak, is out of control. Let us go back to this material. So if they don't agree to your appeal, you will have to apply to another tribunal. This is called the upper tribunal. You will get details of how to appeal with your decision letter. You can also get help with the appeal if you talk to an advisor before taking action. That is if the advisor is available, because they are running out of resources. So you have to really be aware. So helping yourself, so to speak, or somebody else to appeal to the upper tribunal, because you're going to need help. But if there's no help, you have to help yourself. That's what I'm talking about. So you can get more details on appealing to the upper tribunal. You get these details from the internet. That's the UK. I repeated this, and I repeat it over and over. So if you have a subscription to ask, so you can read about appealing to the upper tribunal and courts on the website gov.uk, and all the others I've mentioned already. So looking at chapter 58 also tells you many different things. This is actually information where you can get on the internet. So let us look at the reductions and overpayment of universal credit. And if you're overpaid, you have to pay it back. So that's what reduction means. This policy should be scrapped. And if you are overpaid, then you are overpaid, because the money is not even enough. Because this overpayment can be a mistake from the government, and if you are a victim where they have overpaid you and you don't have the money because the money is so little, they will ask you to pay it back. They will cut it back from your benefit. They will mess your life, and they could even take you to prison. They could fine you, and this is wrong. It should be scrapped. This policy should be scrapped immediately. It is a menacing way to lead a government. I mean, if the government is still there, then they should pay attention to this situation. Benefit is the number 2 source of income in Britain. Number 1 is employment and self-employment. If you are self-employment in small and medium businesses, I'm not talking about multimillionaires who are entrepreneurs or investors. These are rich people, and if you work for a living, you are maybe rich. Leave a comment below if you happen to watch this video. But more likely than not, you are not going to be rich. Let's go back and look at this material. So the amount of universal credit you get changes. You will either get a letter or a message when you log into your universal credit online account. And if you have an online account, you can also sign up for the text or email alerts. So all this, you have to have skills on the internet. If not, then you may not be able to get any help, because you have to rely on your family. If you don't have a family, you are in serious trouble. So your universal credit might be reduced if you have reported a change of circumstances. That means you will get less money. And for example, you have moved home, or you are paying back an advanced payment, hardship payment, or budgeting advance. I have discussed these elements of support which you may need to pay back because some of them are loans. Loans should be replaced by grants. There should not be a single loan within the benefit economy, not even once. And the British people should be paid if they're working adequately to get them out of poverty. And if they're on benefit, they should be gotten out of poverty immediately by claiming benefit. And the benefit system should be simplified, and you are the ones, you, the British people, are the ones to teach the government how to write policy which can make sense to ordinary people of this country, because you speak to them in your normal language and they will have to interpret it. They don't even need to go to to the library or to listen to experts, because you know your life, you know what you need. So let us go back to this material. If you have been sanctioned, find out what to do if you have been sanctioned. Sanction already explained that you are being punished because you have been overpaid. And that means you are sanctioned. No, sanction is different because you have done something else. You haven't followed the rules of this process. That's what sanction means. You broke the rules, and you're going to be punished for it. And this may involve your money being stopped, or even I don't know, maybe cut or something like that. Or if you earn more from work, find out how working affects your universal credit. I say, if you earn below 20,000, you earn below 30,000, as a policy, you should get the full benefit, or enough to actually put your earning back to 30,000. Because I think £30,000 is enough to get British people out of poverty, whether in benefit or in work. And if you're working and you're getting less than £30,000, you should be top it up with benefit, and nonsense such as nonsense such as benefit sanctions should stop, should be scrapped. This policy should change immediately. You might also get less money if you are being paid too much universal credit or another benefit. This is called an overpayment. You will get less universal credit each month until you pay back the universal credit. I've already mentioned that. So this is the kind of thing you find. If you owe money, your creditor might be able to apply to have money taken from your payment. If you are probably in debt, maybe in rent arrears, maybe in council tax arrears, maybe also you are in debt with your energy and water supply, whatever debt they have, there's a possibility they will contact the Department of Work and Pension to deduct your money. And the money you are given is so little that if it is deducted, you are going to go in a financial crisis straight away. This should also change, and the debt economy should also be reviewed. And if it is being reviewed, then people who are maybe subjected to credit system should be offered training, which is funded adequately. For every household, there should be a scheme to train them out to deal with debt. They should be expert on that, because we have allowed the credit system to operate. The credit system is not necessary, and it should also be shut down. Because you see, if there is money, why do you borrow? Britain is a rich country. Where is the wealth? Why do you, unless you are holding the money, where is it? Why do you use credit system globally? Credit system is, in my opinion, it's a form of corruption by institutions and the people who run institutions, because you have to pay it back with interest. I mean, it's a form of theft. It's a form of corruption, in my opinion. Leave a comment below if you think the credit system is the mother of all financial, I would say financial terrorism. Because if you are poor, you are terrorized by dead people. You know, there's something called bailiff. These people are a terror to the villages, to town, to cities, to actually people who are poor. We live in a world where it is increasingly it's a curse to be poor. And I already said, if you work for a living and you are not a millionaire, multi-billionaire, you are already poor. If you think you are rich, leave a comment below. If you work for a living, how much money do you earn, and when do you think you're going to be poor? There are a lot of people who are so poor, they don't even know it. And this is even worse than poverty itself, because you see, you have to know your status in life, and so you can prepare for a crisis. For example, if you get into debt, there are a lot of people who are in debt at the tune of being in debt at the tune of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and yet their own benefit. They work and they earn only £2,000 per month. They are in debt to the at the tune of to the tune of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. This is real. This is true. The credit economy is the most evil of the financial instrumentation the world has ever seen. It has to be shut down, and the system has to change globally. Britain alone now, because of globalization, cannot do many things. And society is getting more and more complex, and individuals are oblivious. They don't know what is happening. And it is about time. If you remain ignorant, you are going to suffer. You are going to really perish. Lack of knowledge. I mean, some people carry ignorance as a badge of honor. Do that at your own risk. And this program is supposed to wake you up from the deep sleep. The state has put you in a stupor, in a in a mental stupor. You don't really, I mean, you people are sleeping. They have to wake up and protect their lives, because you see, this is survival. Children are being killed on the street every day. Children are being murdered. And there are so many insane people walking the street. They should be in mental asylums. They are on the street because there is no resources to look after mentally ill people. They are starving people on the street. They are shooting people in America. Everywhere. It is out of control. Crime is on the rise. People who commit crime are now not normal people. They are totally insane. They need medical attention. They don't need even to go to prison. A lot of people going to prison shouldn't be in prison. They should be in mental asylum. They should be cared for as people who are mentally ill, because of lack of funding, because the public sector is in chaos. You see, we looking at a world, the globe, in total horror. Unless we change our attitude, unless we learn our culture, begin to respect ourselves, begin to respect the citizens of this country. If you're in the government, you must have respect for the British people. You have respect, whichever country you are, you have to have respect and try to change the way you run society. Thank you so much for everybody who have been watching. Let us look at this material, because I hope people will follow it. Let's say if you owe money, your creditor might be able to apply to have money taken from your payment. This is your benefit, your universal credit. This is called third-party deduction. For example, you haven't paid a water bill, or a water company might apply to take regular payments from your universal credit. The reason they mention water, because they cannot, the law doesn't allow the water company to disconnect your service. But with gas and electricity, you are actually disconnected. If you don't pay the debt, your service will be disconnected. With things like debts such as council tax, arrears, you can go to prison. These are some of the risks you can face. And you looking at rent arrears, you can be evicted from your home, and the council will not give you support, because they will accuse you of intentional homelessness. The same with if you are actually made, if you're fired, if you have been dismissed from work, the Department of Work and Pension will refuse to give you benefit, because they're going to accuse you of intentional joblessness. And this is all because the government asked them to do that. The politicians asked these civil servants, these poor civil servants, to persecute the British people. This must change immediately. The British people, the government's role is not to adulterate work, to not adulterate service, and not adulterate society. The role of the government is to look after British people. That is what it is elected to do. And the abuse of over 90% of the population is on the increase. And if we don't pay attention to stop the government today, we are going to destroy our lives and also contribute to destroying the government system, because there is no peace for the wicked. If you practice iniquity, you reap iniquity. If you are savage, if you practice savagery, you reap savagery. The government in its policy, in its handling of public policy, is nasty. Let us put it mildly. It's nasty. And nastiness breeds nastiness. You think you are nasty to the British people because you are on drugs. You are on steroid for nastiness. You will actually get something called a boomerang. It's going to bounce back. No peace for the wicked. Nobody will escape. I say this in all honesty. I am all for peace. And my idea of peace is respect. Respect, respect, respect. If you are rich, respect yourself. Respect other people, including respecting the poor. If you're poor, respect yourself, including respecting the rich. If you're a man or woman, respect one another. Respect, respect, respect. Disrespect produce hatred, produce, violence. We see it on the street. This is not coming out of the blue. It is actually our own making. It is the menace of our own making. People are being killed on the street. We are under siege. Society is under siege. We are responsible for creating a mess. We are also responsible for cleaning it up. Let us clean society up beginning now. And that is why will be continue to talk about this government policy. You go to the library, you go wherever you need to go and do a study of government policy. If you like it, say, I like it. If you don't, say you don't like it. If you like it, go and tell your member of parliament. If you don't like it, go and talk to your parliament, whether you're in Britain or abroad, whether you're British or somebody else, whether you're in Africa or Asia or wherever. Because the system is global. The system of right, if they do the right thing, they do the right thing. But wrong is now overcoming right. And this balance is being disturbingly so unstable. So I can go on as always, which is nice. But let's go back to looking at this situation. If you have had an overpayment of benefit, you will get less each month until you pay it back, like a slave, like a prisoner. The system treats you like a prisoner, like you are totally idiot, like you don't vote for the government. In most cases, the Department of Work and Pension and DWP will reduce your payment by between 15% and 25% of your standard allowance. Standard allowance is less than £400. Now, if that is reduced, what you're going to do is your livelihood. I mean, if you are a multimillionaire and multi-billionaire, standard allowance of universal credit is less than £400. So, I mean, is that can you live on that money? The people who create this policy, can you live on benefit? No. Why do you make British people live on benefit when the level is so low? The offense of benefit is because of the level. The offense of employment is low pay. These are the only source of income in Britain or across the globe. When you work for a living, if you don't work for a living, at least in the developed world, these are the situations. So the level of benefit and of employment should go up today to get the British people out of poverty. And talk to America, talk to Asia, talk to Africa, European, come together as nations of the world to get the people of the world out of poverty today, now. Get the money from the super rich, from the stinkingly rich bankers. Get this money and give it to people who don't have, leave them out of poverty now. And this help should be sustainable. You work as hard as you can, because these wealth are created by people who are poor. They are workers. That's why they don't get rich. People who get rich don't work. And that is a different story. I mean, if they don't work, fine, because they have the brain to plan, to create wealth, that is fine. The people who work should also be rewarded because they have a livelihood. We know technology is coming. We know industries, multimillionaires are now not interested in humans because they don't need human labor anymore. So, I mean, they only think of money and profit And they are now investing in technology. They are focusing on now. When the government say we are investing in the economy, they are doing. They're investing in technology and all the other infrastructure, which is okay. But you see, how about human flesh and blood? How about humans? Why do you treat human beings as if they are statistics? And this is getting out of control. If not, it is too late. But I say we cannot give up hope. It is our life. It is our right. We have the right to exist, to survive. Let us go back to this material. For example, if your payment is reduced by 15% of your standard allowance, and your standard allowance is usually £334 and 91 pence a month, I overestimated it. It's only £300 per month, and your total payment will be reduced by £50. Now you are left with less than £200 per month to live on, because £50 has been taken away. So your payment can be reduced if your overpayment happens because of fraud. I mean, fraud is not supposed to happen, because how do you know it is fraud or not? That is a different thing. I mean, the system is computerized. Unless the computer is so cheap that it doesn't, do the admin effectively, fraud cannot happen on benefit at all. So the Department of Work for the World usually take more than 25% of your standard allowance. So what are they going to do? So if you think you won't have enough money to live on because you are paying back on all payment, you should talk to an advisor. They don't listen. They are trained. They are hypnotized not to listen. They only listen to their brains. And a lot of people are suffering because of that. And they can't help you budget or ask the Department of Work and Pension to either take repayment at a lower rate or stop taking repayments at all. I feel sorry for the staff at the Department of Work and Pension, because they are so overstretched. The government is not funding government departments, so he write this policy in vain. So if you are challenging the recovery of unemployment, you can do so, but in theory, but in practice, how are you going to do it when you don't even have money to buy drinking water, or even to put some, because you are probably fainting of starvation. You don't even think of challenge a decision. You don't even know how to challenge a decision. Experts should do it, and these experts have no money because the government has shut down. So you can ask the Department of Work and Pension to put off recovery and overpayment of debt for a period of time, but the overpayment policy should be scrapped. So it can also be reduced the amount deducted, or you can waive the deduction. Waiver means they are not going to do it. They are going to forgive you. But that is not good enough. If you are writing to the Department of Work and Pension requesting a reduction or a waiver, which means they should now forgive you, not really get involved. Explain your circumstances and the reason why recovery is causing hardship. Common sense should tell the Department of Work and Pension that poor people will suffer if you can't help them. You take £50 from £300, that is 250 left. That is form of wickedness, policy wickedness. Leave a comment below if you think it is wickedness. Leave a comment below if you think it is not. Thank you so much. So, you will have to show you are experiencing financial or welfare hardship. Are you going to show it? Are you going to walk naked on the street? What are you going to do to prove that? Should you prove that? I mean, if you don't have money, if you get only £300 per month, you don't have money. Wow, £50 have been taken from your monthly pay. How are you going to prove? Do you need to prove that you are in poverty? You are already in poverty without sanction. Poverty, I mean, before you are even given benefit, the Department of Work and Pension law, you're in poverty. You don't have to prove anything. You are the proof, because you are on benefit. You are poor. I mean, you say you are in hardship. It is you are given benefit because you are in hardship. Now, the Department of Work and Pension want you to prove that you are in hardship because your money has been reduced. When you came, when you are given, when you are assessed, when you are given benefit, you are already given benefit because you are in financial hardship. That's the only reason you get, the only way you get benefit. So you will have to show your experience financial welfare hardship, include any evidence where possible. For example, a financial statement, bank statement, evidence of death or medical evidence. They are interrogating you as if you are a prisoner, as you are a criminal suspect. Being poor in Britain has turned into, in the eye of the British government, it has turned into a crime. So you find your people who are supposed to support you at the Department of Work and Pension interrogating you. They are so hostile, as if you are visiting a police station. You are a criminal suspect or something, or somebody on with criminal record from a probation service or something like that. That is what the Department of Work and is like. It's like a form of I wouldn't say even. It's even probably what it's like a financial terrorism. It's like policy dictatorship. So you talk about this mess. So financial welfare hardship could be because of carrying responsibility. You have to care for somebody. How are you going to care for somebody if you cannot even care for yourself? You have to be ill or sick or sickness. I mean, I am sick or not sick. I may not be able to talk to you. I may be just dying. Maybe you have a dependent child, a child which is actually a young person. So some kinds of that, you will need to show you are already in debt, and that making the full deduction would mean you couldn't cover your basic living cost. This is common sense. You don't need to do anything. The policy should be scrapped by a government with brains. You can find out more about how the Department of Work and Pension recover benefits in the Department of Work and Pension staff guide on gov.uk. Go online if you are fancy. So we talk about overpayment. If the government, if the overpayment was caused by the Department of Work and Pension mistake, we're going to look at this going forward next time. Thank you so much for your attending today, and leave a comment below. Watch this material and watch the rest of the video. Share with family and friends. Click notification bell and click like. And thank you so much. See you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye. Good evening, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okun. Thank you very much for attending. Let us look at money in the United Kingdom given to people who needed this series in a series in the videos I have recorded to illustrate what happens in terms of policy and also practices involving money given to people who need it as a way of policy, a social policy. So let us get straight into it. When you need this money, you have to fill out a form. It's a form acronym as SSC1 form, which form you can get more information online gov.uk. And the form asks for your name and contact personal details. For example, this is the process of claiming this support, national insurance number.